you. But anywho, hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are Bookmas day 5. We are working our way through these 12 days slowly but surely, and honestly very slowly, let's be honest. Today is actually the first like Christmas themed Bookmas. Today we are for Christmas. As you can see, I've got my Christmas jumper on, some red lipstick. I'm looking very Christmassy. Got a little Christmas bow in my hair. You know how it is. Christmas is officially here, folks. Today I'm going to make some apple muffins, and I'm also going to be talking about my reading goals, so like the reading goals that I have set myself for the 2026 reading year, and then also just some bookish talk in general. Some things I like, some things that I dislike, you know. I'm not going to go too deep into it. This is only the intro, you'll find out more if you keep watching. So we're going to see if I can do both these things, if I can talk to you guys and bake at the same time. There's a high chance that I will get distracted doing one or the other, but we're gonna do our best here. So grab yourself a hot little drink and then let's get right on into the video. So I'm making some vegan apple muffins. Apparently they're the best ever vegan apple muffins, so you had me at best. I only have a small muffin pan, so we're only gonna be making a small amount of muffins, and if you have more mix than this, we'll just have to do it twice. Some food colouring, so I've got red and I've got blue and yellow, which we're going to make green. We're going to do red and then green icing sugar and put those on top of the muffins to make them a bit more Christmas themed. So we need 250 grams all-purpose flour. So I haven't set myself very many reading goals for next year because I've never before set myself reading goals, so I kind of didn't know what to do. I didn't want to set anything too strict because that way it would make reading feel like more of a chore than something I do for fun. But I went on Pinterest, of course, my best friend Pinterest, and got some ideas, and then just some general things that I've been thinking about that I'd like to do to expand my culture, my reading culture and all that. So I think at the moment I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is not that much. So I'm supposed to be using 2 types of sugar. I only have this, like 1 type of sugar, so we're just gonna do that. Oh, we had just enough sugar. Perfect. But anywho, so my first reading goal is just a fairly generic reading goal I feel like everyone has, which is the amount of books I want to read. So this year, when I first got Fable, I think I downloaded it in March, I put a reading goal of 50 books. I think I'm currently at, wait a second, I'm currently at 71 books this year, so I've definitely passed my reading goal, which I'm very, very happy about. But I think also when I said it, I just wasn't aware of how many books I'd read in a year. After having like tracked how many books I read, I have a better idea. And so I think this year I won't make it to 80 books, but next year my reading goal is 80 books because I did slump a lot over the summer. So I think like in July and August, I read like 2 whole books each month, which is not much for me. I wanted to set something that was still achievable, but that was a little bit higher than what I did this year, just to like motivate myself to do better. I think 80, obviously you can't predict slumps, but if I don't slump, I think I will beat that, because that's basically 6 books per month, and I will definitely be months where I read more than that. So the recipe is just for cinnamon apple ones, but I always add a little bit of ginger when I'm making like festive food. As soon as like September hits and I start baking, everything has like a bit of ginger in it. But yeah, so my first goal is just a nice simple 80 books, which I think is achievable, but still high enough that I'll look back on the year and be happy. Great, so I just found out that vegan butter does not melt exactly like regular butter, it's a bit thicker, but you live and you learn. But yeah, so then my next one is one that I kind of set myself every year. Again, this is one that everyone does, and that is to get through my physical art, or to get through as much as possible. Honestly, I don't think I would ever want my physical TBR to actually end, because that would mean that I had no books on hand to read. And that's just not what I want. I always want to have some physical books on hand I can pick up and read whenever I want. I mean, more generally just get through as much of it as possible so that it's not 30 books long. 30 for me, I feel is a good max. I don't think I'd want to have more than that. I want to read through my backlog TBR, because there are some books that I've had on my TBR for like 2 years, and I want to get through, especially them. The more recent ones, I'm not as fast because I've only had them for like a month or so. Okay, next reading goal is read new genres. So I did kind of do this a bit last year. I did a reading challenge in the month of April where I tried to read, like every book was a different genre. Unfortunately, one of those genres was romance, and I chose Binding 13 for my romance book, and then fell off a Boys Tom and binged the whole series. So that challenge went a bit out the window. It didn't really happen as I planned, but I think I will redo that maybe next April. There were some of the books I read that I wasn't a fan, and I don't think that was necessarily because of the genre. I think that was just the book itself wasn't for me. And then there were other books that I really liked, even though they were in a new genre. The reason I'm doing apple muffins is because I have had these apples Like they're literally almost squishy. I've had them for a bit too long and they need to get used now, otherwise they will go off. But yeah, so I'd like to read new genres because at the moment I read almost exclusively fantasy, and in the past year I have started reading a bit more romance than I used to read, so that is an expansion. But I'd like to really properly expand and read like completely new genres, like mysteries, thrillers, science fiction, non-fiction, like I'd like to try something of everything. It's like, I know I like fantasy and romance, but I know that I like fantasy and romance because I've been reading that since I was a child. And so I never really discovered other genres, so I don't know what I like. And I might start reading thrillers and discover that I absolutely love thrillers, you know? My next one kind of fits into, it's almost like a sub goal from the old one, but that is to read a classic in the new year. So I've already taken a step towards that and added a picture of Dorian Gray to my 26th of 2026, and then I also bought the book, so that way it's just like, it's motivation to actually read it. Because I have read classics when I was younger. For example, I read Lord of the Rings, Little Women, Anne of Green Gables, and absolutely loved them, so there's no reason why I would dislike classics. It's just as I've gone older, it's just become something that I gravitate towards less because, well, they were written years ago, so they're just written in a different style, the people are different, and it's just not what I would normally read. But I want to challenge myself again and read a classic. Give myself some culture, you know, read some like worldly books. Cause it won't feel like Christmas without you. My next reading goal, again, a lot of my reading goals are actually like the same thing, I'm realizing, but this one is read a non-fiction book. So I did read, I think, 2 non-fiction books last year. I read a kind of feminist essay book, and then I also read the Matthew Perry biography, which I loved. That was a 5-star read for me. It was one of my best reads of the year. If you are not a non-fiction reader, I think it's easier to start with something like that because then there's already a point of interest, which is like kind of the biography is about. But yeah, so I just like to fully expand my reading thing. I don't want to stay stuck in a reading rut. I want to try new genres. I want to broaden my reading horizons. I want to try new things. My final reading goal, there we go, is to actually like stick to and continuously update my reading journal. Because I tried to have a reading journal last year, well this year, 2025, and I kept it for like 2 months and then I kind of stopped. Oh shit, I haven't preheated the oven. There we go. Okay, let's fold in these apples. Let's have a little try. Oof, that is good. Ooh, that is very good. Probably the sugar, but still. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed that I managed to like efficiently both make these muffins and talk about my reading goals, because now I've gone through my reading goals. I don't have many, but still. We're gonna put these into the pan, then when they're in the oven, we're gonna make icing sugar, and we're gonna talk about just bookish things. We're just gonna yap. So here we have them. We have my first 6 muffins. I'm gonna have to make a lot more than 6. Actually, I'll probably make 12, which is a decent amount of muffins. Okay, let's get started on the icing. So last time I tried to make icing sugar, my friend had bought salted butter, and that was the only butter we had, except it was Halloween and we wanted to make these like Halloween ghost cookies, so we needed icing sugar, and they tasted really weird because the cookies were sweet and then the icing sugar was like kind of salty. It was really weird. It wasn't bad, but it was kind of like not good either. I've seen people doing bookish things that should be left in 2025, which is basically like habits in the bookish community that just need to stop because they're toxic, they're not nice, people don't like them, that kind of stuff. And so this is kind of like that. So the first like bookish thing that I've seen people do that I want to leave behind, and my main one, honestly, it's the one that I hate more than anything. Like it really, really annoys me. And that is spoilers. And to be fair, spoilers, this is not just a bookish thing, this is just like, I feel like a social media thing. Like just because people on social media are chronically online, people like posters on social media, doesn't mean everyone else is. Like when Sunrise and the Reaping came out, people the day after, there were already spoilers, and it was the same with Onyx Storm as well. Not everyone reads at the same pace, so some people, it's just not possible to finish a book the day after it came out because either you've got a job or you're just a slower reader, you know, even if you have no other. I've put too much water in this. So even if you have no other reason other than just you have a slower reading pace, you're gonna get spoiled, unfortunately, on Book Talk. And I feel like a really good example of this that just recently happened is Stranger Things Volume 1 just came out. And a week after a week after it come out. There were 4 episodes, each an hour each minimum. So the longest was an hour 30, the shortest was an hour. If people have jobs, if they have families, if they just have a busy week, they will not necessarily be able to watch all 4 of those episodes before a week. After a week, Netflix's Instagram account, like their official account, had posted a spoiler, like a huge spoiler, not just a small thing, like the cliffhanger that you were on at the end of episode 4, they posted about that. And they had a little bit at the beginning, like for like 2 seconds when they said spoiler ahead, but not everyone's gonna pay attention to that. And it's like sometimes I also see huge spoilers and then in the caption it's written watch out spoiler, except I don't read captions. Most of the time I will watch the video and then I will read the caption. I just think we need to leave spoilers behind. It just really annoys me. That really annoys me. So I just think when you're posting a spoiler, think, if I hadn't already read this book, would I appreciate finding this out in this way? And if you wouldn't, don't post it. It's that simple. So another thing, and this is more against the publishing industry, and that is only hardbacks when a big book is first released. So Onyx Storm, Fearful, Sunrise on the Reaping, Brimstone, all of these books when they came out, because they had really successful previous books and the publishing company knew people were going to buy them, what they do is they first only release them in either the big paperback or hardback, except at least in France that's an extra 10 euros. And in France, English language books are already expensive. If I see a book for 10 euros, then that to me is cheap, which is just to get an idea of how expensive they are. There's this book that I've been really waiting for it to come out, and I get to the bookstore and I see that it's going to cost me 25 euros. I'll still buy it, but it's just really annoying because if I'm kind of only half excited for it to come out and I see 25 euros, I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying that, I'm just going to wait till it gets out in small paperback. People who are going to buy a book as soon as it comes out, and normally people who've been really waiting for the book, who are huge fans, it's just taking advantage of us and I don't like it. It's very annoying. To talk about something positive, like instead of just focusing on the negatives of the bookish industry, the publishing industry, all that, one thing that I've started seeing in more recent times I'm really liking is like a slower reader appreciation. I've started seeing some like book influencers who only read 15 books a year and like proud of it, and people don't hate on them for that, and I think that's really good because it's unrealistic that everyone would be able to read 50 plus books a year or 100 plus books a year, because people have full-time jobs, they might have families, they may just read a lot slower. And I think we need to stop shaming people for not reading quickly, because otherwise reading just turns into a numbers game, and you shouldn't read to achieve a reading goal or to read a certain amount of books per year. You should read because you're enjoying books, like quality over quantity. You shouldn't read 100 shitty books in a year because you could get through them quickly and they were fast to read. You should read like 5 books that you really loved. Okay, so I put the icing sugar in the fridge and it kind of worked. It's now a lot thicker, like I noticed it's not running everywhere, which is good. So now I need to like dye it. So I'm gonna put like the red in this and then the green in the other. So I need like half the icing sugar. But yeah, so I have some red. It's easy to talk about all the negative aspects of like BookTok and social media and people who post bookish content, but I feel like people are so focused on like the 25 things they want to leave in 2025 that they don't really focus on like the 25 things they want to keep, the 26 things they want to keep for 2026, you know what I mean? But I think it's also important that people don't like forget the positives. Like it's very easy to focus on the negatives, but forget that BookTok is actually like positive space, because say whatever you will bad about it, and some of it's true and some of it isn't. The popularity of BookTok is actually a really positive sign, because you know how old people always like, young kids these days, they don't read anymore, they're just always on their phones. But I feel like TikTok is proof that that's not true. Young people do read, and I think it's really nice that BookTok is like as big as it is. I don't know, I think BookTok is a really positive space. I guess everyone's experience is different, but for me at least BookTok has always been like a really positive experience, and I really like that. So I feel like BookTok just makes it easier to find people who like reading the same things you do. Because in real life, me personally, my sister likes to read, but outside of that, I don't really know anyone who reads books. And so BookTok or BookTube or whatever, it's just a way to find out people out there who share my interests. Okay, our muffins are over there. Those ones are cooling down, but we have some here. So I'm gonna decorate them. We got 3 red, 3 green. To be fair to this green, it's not Christmas green. Like, you know movies when you have like chemical substances and they're like bright green, it's that kind of green. Also, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, these are not gonna be like cutesy and aesthetic. Okay, I'm gonna put these in the fridge, but just look at them first off. It does, I'm realizing that the red looks pink, but there's nothing I can do about that, so it's gonna be pink, but we know it's red. But no, I completely forgot. I had an extra reading goal. I just hadn't written on my reading journal yet. I'd written on my phone, and I'd forgotten about it. To go like backwards. So there was supposed to be a logic to this video, but I feel like we left logic behind. We were like, logic, I don't know her. But I want to try an audiobook because I think I've ever like willingly listened to an audiobook in my life. When I was younger, my parents like to help us go to sleep. They put on audiobooks of like fairy tales. So I remember we had Rumpelstiltskin, we had Cinderella, we had The Little Match Girl, which is a traumatic story for anyone who knows it. But outside of that, I have never like listened to an audiobook out of my own will, like as an adult. And I think next year is something I'd like to do because it'd be something that'd be crazy out of my comfort zone. I think people who are like, oh, audiobooks isn't reading, are stupid, because it isn't reading in the like dictionary term of the word, which is words on a paper that you read with your eyes. Sure, it's not reading in that way, but if you're gonna be pedantic, I mean, come on. But it is reading in that they're still like retaining all the same information. They're still absorbing the same book that you are, just through a slightly different way. So next year I want to try reading an audiobook, especially now I've seen you on Spotify. You can like listen to them for free. I know that I am someone who, if I'm not focused on something, I will just not take the information in. And so that's why reading is good, because I can stay fully focused, I'm like immersed in the book. But if I'm going to be listening to an audiobook, then I'll probably be doing something else alongside. So I just do not know if it will be something that works for me in the way my brain works. But I want to try it because I think you should try everything once, you know? YOLO, as my sister loves to say. Okay. We have a muffin on the loose. There we go, my muffins, my wicked, unintentionally wicked themed muffins. Okay, so the muffins have been in the fridge for a little time and the icing sugar is now a bit harder because it was really melty. They look terrible, but considering the amount of sugar that's in the icing sugar for one, and considering they're apple cinnamon muffins, I'm sure they're going to be delicious. But they just do not look good at all. I do partially blame it on the icing sugar that melted everywhere, because before I put the icing sugar on them, they looked okay. But what can you do? At least they taste good. So I have got to clean the kitchen because it is a bit of a mess, and then I'm looking forward to eating these cupcakes later tonight. They are just going to be delicious, like I can already tell. Very sugary, that's for sure. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun filming it, actually. It was fun to do something a bit different, to bake and talk to you guys at the same time. It gave me a lot of activity to do while I was cooking. This was my first official Christmassy, like full-on Christmassy Bookmas video, so that was also fun. Got to put my Christmas jumper, very cool. We are almost halfway into Bookmas. It has gone by so quickly, but I hope you've been having fun so far, and I will see you in a couple of days. I hope you have a lovely day, and until then, bye!